Hey everyone, I'm here in Cumming, Georgia, and I'm here to check out the spot of a pretty intense armed robbery that led to the death of the Ingles security guard. This occurred in 2010, I believe on September 7th, just as the Ingles was closing around 11 p.m. Here at the Ingles, I'm going to show you the layout of the store and talk about the story about what happened that night and the last moments of David Casto, security guard that was murdered. 3 adults and 1 juvenile found themselves in jail after an armed robbery on late Sunday night, September 7th, 2010, at a local grocery store that turned fatal for their security guard. David Casto, who was 37 years old, of Winder, Georgia, was shot to death during the armed robbery at this Ingles at 436 Canton Highway in Cumming, Georgia. The 3 masked gunmen robbed the Ingles store and killed Casto, who was employed by Executive Security Services of Atlanta. Forsyth County Sheriff Ted Paxton said the county's 911 center received a call from an employee inside the store at approximately 11:31 p.m., saying that there had been an armed robbery. 2 Ingles employees, a male and a female, had been duct taped and placed in the store's freezer, along with David Casto. At one point during the robbery, 2 of the gunmen took the employees into the store office while the 3rd gunman stayed in the cooler with David Casto. Sheriff Paxton said when the employees were brought back to the cooler, Casto was dead. The security guard had been shot in the head. The store was closing at 11 p.m., so the assailants walked in as the employees were wrapping up. The gunmen wore disguises, and the store had no surveillance cameras. Tyrese Aside, who is 18 years old, of Cumming, Georgia, and Nikita Holmes, who is 19, of Beaufort, Georgia, were both charged with 2 counts of armed robbery and 1 count of murder. Sherrod Johnson, who is 18, of Cumming, Georgia, was charged with 1 count of armed robbery and 1 count of murder. 16-year-old male juvenile from Beaufort, Georgia, was also charged with 1 count of armed robbery and 1 count of murder. And this is the location of David Casto's murder. I walked into the store earlier, and it definitely seems like the inside of the store has not changed much other than adding the self-checkout aisles. Still got that very old school look on the inside, as most Ingles do, but it's odd to see that inside this store that there was a pretty gruesome robbery and murder. I was not able to find where exactly David and the employees were taken to, but this was pretty well covered in 2010 when it occurred. I believe the individuals that were involved in this robbery were also involved with a string of other robberies in the local area. It is pretty sad what happened to David Casto on that night, who was just working as a security guard. I don't believe he was armed. You don't see a lot of security detail for grocery stores, loss prevention people. They're not usually armed, so basically the best thing that David could have done at that time was call 911. This murder may have not been calculated, but they definitely prepared to murder someone, bringing a gun in, and they calculated this robbery, obviously, walking in as the store was closed, because that's the time when people do count their registers. But David's not buried. I don't believe. I was trying to find his grave on findagrave.com. He's, I believe, to have been cremated from what I've seen. The 2 other employees were not named either, so there's not really any information on them, but they were also not harmed during the robbery, at least physically they weren't. So I appreciate everyone watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone.